probably give it about a minute or two for any other folks to hop on, but it looks like we got fairly good showing from tag members today.
I do count a quorum of 8.
Great, thanks, Brandon. And yeah, I think see if there's before we get going to see if there's anyone else that will be hopping on.
We can go ahead and do roll call if you'd like.
Yeah, I'm just doing a quick count on my side, but yeah, let's go ahead and take roll. Thanks everyone again for joining today's MVP tag meeting.
All right. Ben Amora.
Here.
Justin Burgo. Steve Hart. Janice Goucher.
Here.
Ray Shipman. Laura Bold.
Here.
And then Shailesh Dasia.
Present.
Ted Clifton. Ken Nelson. Ian Casey. Bill Mosky.
Is that Bill Masaki?
I'm sorry, yes, it is. Bill Masaki.
He's here.
Steve Simpson.
Here.
Brad McCutcheon.
Here.
Harpreet Sandhu.
Here.
Kevin Duall.
Here, sorry, I was muted.
No worries. Ali Boris.
Present.
Jonathan Jones.
Here.
David Price. All right. With that, we do have a quorum of 9.
Great. Thanks everyone again for attending. Are there any other folks on the call that would like to introduce themselves? Patrick, go ahead.
Yes, this is Patrick Hanks with the Building Industry Association of Washington. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. Larry, go ahead.
Larry Andrews, Andrews Mechanical. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jed Sherman with the IATMO Group.
Thanks, Jed. All right. Okay, so let's move on to the second agenda item, which is to review and approve the agenda that we see on the screen. There's any discussion, let me know, or I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
This is Steve Simpson. I move to approve.
Motion from Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
I think I got a second from Bill. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. any additional discussion regarding the agenda today? All right, if not, all those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Let's continue on. Item 3 is to review minutes from the previous meeting. I think, Brandy, you have posted these. These are actually for the meeting that we had last week where we didn't have a quorum. So I guess I had a question if we needed to approve these minutes for you and Dustin, since we didn't have a quorum.
I believe we just need to prove that we have done the minutes for this. I also wanted to mention, I completed the minutes for the April 24th meeting, I believe it was, but I didn't finish them in time to post them to give a full day, so I will post those for the next meeting.
Okay.
Those are the only outstanding ones.
Mr. Chair, this is Steve Simpson. I'll because I was in attendance to this meeting, I'll make a motion that I approve these very brief meeting minutes.
All right. Motion from Steve. Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Second from Sandy. Great. I did have one item, Brandon, and it was the file name has MVPVE in it, I noticed.
I will fix that. I appreciate it.
So I don't know, Steve, if that can be a friendly amendment.
That's an extremely friendly amendment.
Okay, thank you. Right. With that, any additional discussion? Patrick, good.
I believe if you're allowed to like have the tag discuss things even if there's no quorum. And I forget if this is in the bylaws or the policies or procedures, but I think you're supposed to have like saying the pros and cons of what was discussed. And I know that RMM was discussed, so just FYI.
Yeah, and I guess I'll kick that back to staff. If we do need to amend these to include any of the discussion items that were held during the time that we met last week. And if so, if we can do that.
I will confirm with Dustin offline. That does make sense that we need to have at least what we discussed, as no action was taken, but to have at least what we discussed. And I do have those notes. I can amend these.
Mr. Chair, would it be probably wise if I pull my motion off the table?
Yeah, or yeah, you could amend it as well to kind of direct staff to take that action. So up to you, Steve.
Okay, so I'll because we haven't voted on the motion, I'll just pull my motion and then we can re-entertain a proper motion. That way we don't get in trouble with state building code council rules. That would be problematic for me. Thank you.
Right. Is that okay with you, Sandy, as the second?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Patrick, good.
Yeah, sorry, I looked it up. It's in the bylaws under technical advisory groups, number 7. Just I don't know if it has to be the minutes, but just FYI.
Thank you, Patrick. Larry, go ahead.
I'm not sure if this is the right time, but I was wondering if some of these sections could be changed so I don't have to sit here till the end of the meeting. I have like 4 sections that I'm really interested in. And so anyway, I don't know if this is the right time to talk about that but that's what
I
I
think
was.
you're talking about the tag review of the UPC change proposals.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we'll get into that into the next agenda item after we get through the minutes. Dustin.
So I was just going back to the the report if there's no quorum topic. So I know that at the last meeting of this group that some of the proposals were introduced as far as, you know, talking about, but I'm not sure necessarily pros and cons of each of those proposals that were discussed last meeting were identified. We can definitely amend the minutes to indicate that those proposals were talked about, but I'm not sure that we have a pro and con statement to supply there. But in the interest of moving this along, I'll work with Brandon to just update those minutes a little bit more to show the topics that were discussed. But we won't be bringing back a pro-con statement on those particular amendment petitions. And I just wanted to, you know, Patrick had it right that number 7 in the tags group on our bylaws dictates what we would do in the event of no quorum. So if it happens again, we can continue discussion and then, you know, bring that report to a future meeting. And I just wanted to make sure we're all clear on that.
Great. All right, thanks, Dustin. I saw a thumbs up from Patrick, so I think that sounds good. All right, so I guess with that, maybe someone could offer a motion to have staff review and update the minutes to be reviewed at the next tag meeting.
Mr. Chair, this is Steve Simpson. I make a motion that the State Building Code Council revise the meeting minutes for the meeting held on 7/31 and bring it back to us on our next tag meeting.
All right, thanks, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Brad. Great, thank you. Okay, any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of directing staff to update the minutes to be reviewed at the next tag meeting, please say
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, let's see. All right, moving on to the next agenda item. So this is now we're going to talk about the review of the UPC code change proposals that have been submitted and gone through the initial staff review and are posted on the website, as well as the information for the meeting today. So as Larry mentioned, right now the way they're ordered is, I believe, in the order that they were received. Or at least reviewed by staff. And I know we probably have some folks that are more interested in some items than others. I guess last meeting I did mention maybe it would make sense to group these by chapter as well. But if there's any other ideas of how we want to kind of arrange the process to start reviewing them, we could do that as well. And also we could do it by the proponent as well, potentially. So I guess I'll kind of open it up for any initial discussion before we start diving in. Larry, go ahead.
I was hoping that you could start with chapter 7 and then do chapter 8. And then I don't have any other conflicts going on, so I could make some other meetings. Thank you.
All right. And Larry requested prioritizing chapter 7 and then 8. Any other comments regarding the order that we look at these?
Mr. Chair, that sounds reasonable, and I also agree that we could probably link chapters for sure together.
Okay. All right. I guess with that, shall we start looking at items for chapter 7? So I think the first one would be number 6. So this would be 24 GP206, I believe.
apologize. Which one did you want to start with? Number 6?
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at the chapter, but not the section number, so maybe we do it by section number as well. So that would be number 18, I think. This is GP2-018.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, there it is. All right. I don't see Stephen on the call, but based on item 5 in the proposal form, it looks like this is requesting a modification to table 702.2 to provide kind of direction for higher flow rates and equivalent fixture unit values. And then adjusting the threshold for deferring to an AHJ for higher flows. Larry, good.
I would support this. The numbers seem to work out. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Any others have any thoughts regarding this proposed change? All right. Are there any TAG members that want to move to recommend that this proposal gets moved forward into
Then
the,
before we do that, do you want to finish doing this chapter and see if we can move it as a chapter?
I guess I would propose that we do it section by section, just so unless there's any proposals that are kind of have a shared impact would be my recommendation. But Dustin, good.
For specific proposals, I would prefer that we make motions on each individual proposal instead of the chapter as a whole. I know it might save time to do the chapter, but that way we have clear motions for each change in the code as a result of these specific proposals.
Great. Yep, agreed. Thanks, Dustin. Right. With that, yeah, is there any other discussion, or do we want to recommend that this one move forward?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I looked at this and it looks reasonable to me. I'll move to approve it. Now, with that, my motion is to move to approve it, but I have a question after we get done with the next part of it, please.
Gotcha. All right. So motion from Steve to approve from the tag for this proposal. Is there a second for that?
Yeah, this is Bill. I'll second that.
Right, second from Bill. All right. So motion is to recommend approving this change proposal, and I guess maybe to frame this, our action today is to recommend to the standing committee and the building code council that this proposed change get moved over through to the CR 102 public review document for further review and discussion before it gets actually added to the code. So with that, any additional discussion for this change proposal? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this change proposal, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Great. And it looks like Steve Hart has joined us. Is that correct?
Yes, I am here, but I'm going to have to leave at 2:15.
Okay, thanks, Steve. All right. Okay, so I guess we're moving on to the next one in chapter 7, which would be GP2019. Steve, this is another one from Stephen. So here's the proposed change. And so we'll read that. Larry, go ahead. Larry,
Yeah,
you're, oh, there you go.
Okay, I got it. I'd like to hear from the IAPMO representative on this change. Because I don't know where they came up with this 180 seconds. I was hoping for a little bit longer time. So you don't, because of the calculations almost double if you're have a long, it's supposed to be continuous discharge. And 3 minutes to me seems like a pretty short time. Beyond that, you would be in a continuous discharge count on the fixtures. And so I was hoping, since the IAPMO representative is here, I would like to hear his point of view on this. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Larry. Jed, would you be willing to provide some feedback?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Just curious, it seems to me the language in discussion is the red underlined language here, correct? And that is
Correct.
actually whoever the proponent of this change is language. That's not IAPMO language.
Correct. So the red underlined would be the proposed language that would be added in the state amendment to the base 2024 UPC.
Right. So I'm not really qualified to comment on why this person chose 3 minutes or anything like that. You know, the IAPMO language that is above that in the black, that's been, you know, tried and true language that's been there for a long time and gone through all the technical committee review. So I think that I can't really respond to the change. The proponent would have to do that.
Thanks, Jed. Fair enough. Larry, go ahead.
That's kind of why I'm kind of getting a little worried about this. I mean, suppose you got a pump that runs 10 minutes and then it shuts down for 40 minutes and then comes back on intermittently like that. And so by putting this in here, then you'd have to double count those fixture units. So then that increases the drain size dramatically. And so I just come across this today. I've had some family problems lately, but I would like to have a little more research time devoted to this one to make sure what we want to really put out here. Not saying that it's bad, but there is direction in the IAPMO code how to come up with this amount of runtime and the gallons per minute. And I just haven't had time to dig into it deep enough to figure this all out. And because this could be very costly at times, okay? And it might not be able to be achieved if you only have a 4-inch drain system. Okay, it might require a 6-inch drain system to have this kind of to work. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Larry. And I think reading the explanation, that might be what the proponents attempting to clarify is for some pump systems or ejector systems that are running for a shorter duration, that the sizing wouldn't be driven by that intermittent flow rate. But yeah, I think it would be definitely be helpful to get some direct feedback from the proponent. Laura, go ahead.
I have to jump off for a meeting and I sent an email and Shailesh is here as the alternate, so I'm going to be out for about an hour. So I just wanted to let you know I'm going to hop off the call now.
Right, thanks, Laura. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I too have some concerns about the 180 seconds and how that was implemented or derived. There's a lot of variables in terms of the system that we're looking at, from the size of the sump itself, the GPMs of the pumps that are put into it, and then the amount of flow coming into the sump from various locations via gravity. It can be, 100 seconds or 1,000 seconds, depending on some of those variables and how they're put together. I would speak against adopting this language right now until we could get some better information on what that 180 is calculated upon. Because if we went ahead with this, what we would do is we would not increase the size of gravity drainage systems like we do now at 2 fixture units per GPM. And so what we would create a potential for
I think I lost Bill's audio.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Steve. I don't want to speak on something's going wrong with Bill's mic, but I think I know where he was going. I think he's concerned that if this were to go through the way it's written, we wouldn't upsize that pipe and the pipe would be too small and we would end up with an issue that way. And so I would speak against this the way it's currently written as well. A matter of fact, I'll just make a motion that we deny this proposal.
All right, so Steve has put forth a motion to deny the proposal. Is there a second for that one?
Who's the proponent of this change?
Stephen Huff.
I wish Mr. Huff was here to explain. I understand what he's getting at is that when you have such a low flow coming into a discharge situation, that you're forced by the code language to over design. And I would consider that there could be 2 separate sections and not a continuum of this 7023, that there be a separate section identifying this consideration and not have it in one section under 2 sentences, because I can see where he's coming at on this, and over designed is not necessary when it's not necessary. So I get where everybody else is coming at too. I mean, but the way it's written and coupled with this, they're correct that if it were to be read and applied the way it is in this one section, you could be over or under in your sizing. So I would rather see Mr. Huff have a chance to comment on his proposal and potentially break this up into 2 sections, identifying regular flow and low flow. That's my comment.
All right, thanks, Steve. So we still have the motion on the table from Steve Simpson to reject the proposal, and I guess I'll leave it open for a second to come in, or we could look at additional ways to address this. So I'm gonna say the motion is dying for lack of a second at this point, and then open it back up for more discussion. Larry, go ahead.
I seconded it earlier.
Oh, sorry, Sandy, I did not hear your second. I apologize. Okay, so we do have a second for the motion. Larry, go ahead.
Do you have another meeting coming up or not, Ben?
We don't have another meeting scheduled yet, but that is definitely something we could do, and we could identify any proposals that we would uh, ensure that the proponents could attend or provide some feedback on prior to the meeting to get that discussion going. So that could definitely be an option.
Thank you.
All right. So the motion on the table is to reject this proposal. Any discussion on that motion?
Yeah, this is Steve Hart. I suggest again that we table this to the next meeting, have the proponent give a more clear explanation from a design approach as to why there could be an alternate to a one-size-fits-all sump system by ejection. I think it's relevant to hear that side of design. So that's the discussion that I have, that to table this and bring it to the next meeting so this individual can clarify. I'm not disagreeing with, the outcomes, but I don't think that it should be in one grouping of a code section, and that's my rub.
Right. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can do, but I do want to get the tag to provide their input. So I guess if we do feel like there might be a mixed kind of votes, I don't know if there's anyone else that feels as Steve Hart does, but do a quick voice vote to see if the motion will pass mostly unanimously. So all those in favor of rejecting this proposal, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
I
Nay.
Nay.
So I heard a couple yeses, a couple noes. So I think let's do a quick roll count vote so we can confirm the motion outcome.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I might be able to help fix this. You're promising us there's going to be another tag meeting. Is that what you're telling us?
I will.
Because if we leave this if we don't deal with it today and we don't have another tag meeting, where does that leave us? I guess is my question. Because I'll withdraw my motion.
It would go kind of unconfirmed up to the committee and council, and then they would likely request us to provide a recommendation. So I'll kick it over to Dustin to.
So right now, there's no tag meeting for this group scheduled just yet, but the idea would be to, if this can be worked on and discussed further, there's room in our schedule right now for additional tag meetings on the UPC. So if there's thoughts within this group that it could be worked to be favorable to the group and maybe give Mr. Huff a chance to come through and participate personally in the meeting, maybe the motion could be to table for potential work by the tag. Just because we have this doesn't mean Mr. Huff has to do any of the changes himself. If the tag wants to take this proposal and modify it, that is their prerogative as well. So maybe outright denying it today wouldn't be the best option, but I will defer to the group on that one for the deliberation.
Mr. Chair, this is Steve Simpson. I'll withdraw my motion.
Right, so Steve's asked to withdraw. Sandy, is that okay with you as the second?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. So we have, like Dustin said, we don't have another meeting scheduled, but if there are proposals like this or others that we find that it would be valuable to have additional discussion offline or at a future meeting, we can get that scheduled and identify folks that we would ask to be in attendance or provide input on.
Mr. Chair, if you'll entertain a motion to table log 19, I'll make that motion.
All right, thanks, Steve Simpson. Is there a second for that?
Steve Hart, I second it.
All right, second from Steve Hart. All right, so motion to table. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. So this one will be tabled for future meeting, and I'll request that we reach out to the proponent to confirm availability. Are there any tag members that would like to be like to reach out or be otherwise involved in like a work group or something with the proponent?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Bill here. I'll be one of those folks.
All right, great. Okay, thank you. All right, let's continue on. So we're looking at chapter 7 items. So next one that I have is GP2012. So this is from Dave Price, adding some clarification on clearance requirements for backwater valves.
Yeah, this is Steve Hart. I can kind of comment to this to some degree. As it briefly explains in 710.6, this subjective dimension of clearance is not really clear at all. And there's no way to get that without coming up with a arbitrary number or using something that's already in the code that is very similar to the approach of what is needed when you are operating through a cleanout. And for instance, a backwater valve having a port that can be removed for cleaning, performing the same duty as you would if you were going to remove the cover to clean out a stoppage. So section 707.9 is very definitive about those clearances. And since the code is silent on it, or as Dave's very clearly stated, subjective, that there should be a clearance that everybody can use, whereby you can't put the opening of a backwater valve tightly up against a floor frame member or other inanimate object that's not movable. And then use all sorts of devices to clean out that stoppage, whereas section 7079 gives dimensional distances for cleanouts to perform the same function. So that's kind of where this is needed at in this section here, is to give direction and guidance as to how much room is necessary to clean out a backflow device.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, I got a little problem with this because residentially, a lot of times we're putting that backwater valve under the lavatory cabinet. They make a cutout in the cabinet. So you can go through the cabinet, pull off the top and pop the lid and make sure the flapper is either open or closed and that's functioning properly. The problem would be is I don't think you'd have those type of clearances under a cabinet probably. And normally you're not using the backwater valve as a clean out. The backwater valve is there to hold the backflow from coming in. Now, sometimes the flappers get stuck, or if you are running a snake, you're supposed to remove the top of the backwater valve. So when the snake comes back, it doesn't close on the snake. So, but residentially, a lot of times we don't have the height to put in a real nice cover plate. And so you're using either an ABS or PVC, and a lot of people want tile floors and stuff. And it kind of looks pretty bad. So I think I think we need to have adequate room to access the backwater valve, but I don't think you need like 30 inches either. So that's my opinion, and I am a plumber. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Larry. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. After that, first of all, after that last section we were looking at, I lost internet. Apparently my AI didn't like me speaking against that amendment. So, but I got back on. I don't think I missed anything. We ended up tabling that. So apologies. I did miss a bit of that. So on this issue here, if Steve could speak on behalf of Dave, you know, when I first read this, you know, I see we have, well, let's call it performance-based language in here already, where it says that they have to be located where they'll be accessible for inspection and repair. And what we're trying to do now is put in more prescriptive requirements, but more to Larry's point, we're putting in requirements here for a clean out, which really that isn't what this is used for. Be able to get access to that, to be able to, you know, run a snake up and through it, you need a certain amount of space, but I don't think that's the right application here. And are we seeing, I guess more of a practical perspective, are we seeing a lot of these installed without access, and how did that get by to begin with?
Well, the answer to your question is yes, they are not accessible for inspection or repair because there is no clearance. It's whatever somebody says they can perform. I'll give the example of the last one that we dealt with was between two joist bays and sucked up against the flooring on the bottom of the floor. There was maybe a 4-inch clearance, just enough to get your hand up and release the cover to look down in at the swing valve itself, provided you had a mirror. The code as written allows that. I understand that the vast majority of installations don't end up this way, but those that choose to not be compliant can use the code in their favor as clearly stated, subjective, reasonable accessible room to inspect or repair. So the concept here was to allow for that added feature of having some sort of non-subjective clearance for maintenance and repair. But I agree with you also too that it's arbitrary because it could be, in this case, mixing two code compliances under two different approaches, cleanouts and backwater valves. So I agree with that as well, but I don't know what the answer is on the flip side of when somebody doesn't want to comply with a subjective clearance. Now, I can go either way with this added language. I can see how it would affect, as Larry stated, aesthetically, it's not pleasing to have a backwater valve with clearance, but at the exact same time, I think those of us who have plumbed can figure out a way to prevent that and put it in a closet or in an area that's usable for inspection and repair that would give somebody some room to do so. And I guess I'll leave my comments at that. I think we pushed this around a little bit back and forth, so I say we probably take a vote on it.
All right. Steve, are you offering a motion at this time, or would you like to hear from other folks that have their hands up?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we keep the language as written.
All right. Okay, so motion from Steve Hart to keep the language, and I guess to be clear, the proposed language that's on the screen that's being added
Correct.
to the section. Okay.
Correct.
And recommend that for inclusion. Is there a second for that? All right, I have not heard a second. Going once, twice. Okay, so I'm gonna say that's dying for lack of a second, but Sandy, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was gonna propose that rather than having the as written, it just be changed to change the language a little bit from rather than saying will be accessible to readily accessible. That means with the readily accessible means that it has to be completely accessible for servicing. That's where we get into these problems because accessible means that you can remove a panel or this or that to get access to it, where readily accessible means that it has to be in a point where there's no obstruction in the way. So that's what I was thinking rather than going to the dimensions, because some of those dimensions get pretty big for cleanouts.
All right. I'll let Steve Simpson go. But Sandy, I don't. Were you making a motion with that statement? All right, Steve Simpson, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Mike, I'd be really concerned with readily accessible, unfortunately, because even opening a closet door, that wouldn't be readily accessible. So the language is extremely important. Me reading this and I look at it from two different veins as far as from the teaching end as a plumber myself. Um, it says it says accessible for inspection and repair via the manufacturer. Um, and I understand you have bad actors that don't do plumbing correctly, but are we adding something in for 1 to 2 people that aren't doing it right? And can't we catch some of that when we're doing the inspections? And I get it. this is a language that'll help with the bad actors if they're actually looking at this section. I guess that's my comment. I'm not necessarily sure that I'm agreeing with the clean out distance. I think that's where I'm stuck.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Right. Any additional comments or ideas on ways to approach this, or Sandy had proposed adding in some language in the sentence before this in lieu of what's being proposed?
No, like I was saying earlier, I mean, it's problematic in either way. If you do nothing, it's status quo. If you do something, then it could be perceived as arbitrary, and if you do an accessible approach, it also has its hurdles. So I think, to Steve Simpson's comment, that we're probably, going to have to let industry do this in their own good conscience, and hope that that becomes more prevalent than somebody who wants to not exercise what I would call good plumbing practices or best management practices. And I think we should just take a vote on it. And again, like I say, I would like to see it as written in the change. And I make a motion for that. And then we can move from there.
All right, so Steve, you're trying the motion again to recommend that the proposed language be forwarded by the tag.
That's correct.
Right, hearing that, is there a second for that motion? All right, I'm not hearing a second. Would someone like to offer a alternate motion for this proposal?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we already have, one of these amendments that we're going to come back to, that we're going to take a look at and get with the proponent. I know Dave wasn't necessarily able to be here today to speak to this, and maybe there's a way we can come up with a distance that makes sense, or tweak this a little bit, possibly. Um, but I can't I can't give Steve a second on that motion. But I could see us tabling it and maybe working this to where it would work. And I'd be glad to do that. That would be my motion.
All right, so I get, it sounds like a motion from Steve Simpson to table this and work on it prior to the next meeting. Is there a second for that?
This is Steve Hart. I'll second that.
All right, second from Steve Hart. All right, any additional discussion for this one? All right, so motion to table. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Sorry. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. So let's table this one and bring it up at the next meeting. All right, so next is GP 2006. It's from David Beal at Robinson. All right, this is modifying the exception here. For says distance. All right, Larry, good.
I think I'd have a problem varying from the IAPMO rule on this because let's say we have a 3-story building and your plumbing goes up and washer stacked on top of one another. And then down at the bottom, we got a floor drain with a washer. I'm thinking you're gonna have some type of suds problem here. So I'd like to probably maybe stay with what IAPMO knows that works rather than deviate from the code. So I mean, you could have possibly even, a laundry tray washer on each of those floors, and to deviate from what we know that works, because I don't think this has ever been studied. I would have a problem with it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Larry. And yeah, I guess I was wondering what, for your example, if the floor drain would be considered penetrating floor assembly or not. And that seems like another clarification that would be needed. All right. Any other thoughts or discussion regarding this one?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Steve Simpson. I tend to not agree with this particular one, and I'd like to recommend to reject this proposal.
All right. Sounds kind of like a motion. Would that be a motion, Steve?
Yes, that was a motion. Sorry.
Right. So a motion from Steve to reject. Is there a second for that?
This is Steve Hart. I second that.
All right. All right. So motion on the table is to reject the proposal here. Any discussion on this one? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of rejecting the proposal, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries. So not be moving this one forward. Okay. All right. So I think that was that the last chapter 7 item?
Yes, it was.
All right. So we're gonna look at chapter 8 for the request at the beginning of this agenda item, and then maybe go back in order unless anyone else has other items they want to look at. So let's see. I think Brandon, you got it. Yep. GP2014. The next one.
Are you seeing it up there on the screen?
I am, I believe. This is from Dave Price. And introducing a new section here for elevator hoistway drainage. Larry, good.
I've got several problems with this one. The first thing is, I got my wire all caught up here for some reason, is the elevator pit is the lowest part in the building by far. And normally when I've done these, I have to put in an oil grease trap. You got your drain in the bottom, then you have your oil grease trap, and then I usually have a pump, and then we usually pump into the drainage system. And so I'm wondering if we put this language in, we couldn't do that. And I think it's imperative to have an oil grease trap down with these, because there's oil and grease, especially if you have a piston type down in the bottom. So to indirect it, I'm not sure how you would do that, especially if you're pumping it. I mean, you're going to have one huge funnel up at the top, and I don't understand what the need would be. I was always under the impression that in an elevator pit, we had to have an oil grease trap in combination with the floor drain. And I think the idea was so you can see what's coming out of it, I guess. I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that I'd have a problem with this one. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Other comments regarding this one?
Yeah, this is Steve Hart. I wish Mr. Price was here to elaborate on exactly, why this version of not discharging and why going indirectly is applicable. And I can't really elaborate more than that, except that in the design industry, this is a very well thought out process that Dave has laid out here, and more applicable than other versions that are out there to remove from an elevator hoistway and go indirectly. And I think a portion or some of it has to do with the approach that directly connecting is not suitable, mostly in the approach that and wait a minute, I'm getting a little bit mixed up here. Let me reverse that because the discharge has a backflow device on it to prevent not only entrance, but also smoke and vacuum. So I guess I don't recall the exact reason why Dave wanted this to go this way. But if you give me a moment, let me look around and see what I can find here real quick. I'll stop there.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. I didn't get a chance to look. Is this currently in the IBC? It seems to be from the explanation down below. And if it is, and it has precedence over the plumbing code, I think this is already in place. And um, as as a manager from the field, I can tell you we've done this indirectly. We just finished up a large software campus, I'm not allowed to say the name, in Redmond, and they had a lot of these hoistway drainage systems that are now connected indirectly there. So there's a system that works. But I'm more concerned that, are we just repeating what's in the IBC, and isn't it already in place since the IBC takes precedent? Do we need to repeat it here?
Thanks, Bill, and good point. Yeah, I think in Dave's explanation, you referenced the building code table, chapter 30. So I'm wondering if that is already referencing that ASME chapter, but it may not be specifying the indirect drain requirement. Steve Simpson, good.
I had the very similar to what Bill was asking. Thank you.
Okay, so Steve Hart here. All right. Refreshing my memory here. This is more and also in alignment with the state as they've made their declarations for how the discharge from a hoistway shall be delivered. And it may be incorporated into the building code, but it's also at this moment right now in the state codes for elevator hoistways. And so that's where this language is coming from, and that's what it's directly tying to. Now, with this language, we have a complete alignment with, as stated earlier, the building code and the state codes.
And I guess, Steve, so you're saying with the proposed language that Dave has included here, this is now bringing the plumbing code into alignment with those codes, and that is it. And I guess to what Bill and Steve Simpson mentioned, not just providing kind of duplicitous language.
Well, it's harmonizing all three of them now. Since the building code is in this state, the Seattle code, too, also addressing the state's requirements of areas of discharge per elevator hoistway, minimum gallons per minute, type of discharge, et cetera, and configuration of discharge. So all of that is coupled together. That's from ASMEA 17.1, and they all align now as a part of not only the building code, but now the state is referencing the same data from 17.1. So it's all in alignment. All the codes harmonize. It's just not recognized in the plumbing code.
All right, thanks, Steve. Other thoughts regarding this one? Steve Simpson, good.
Yeah, quick question for Steve Hart, and or Dustin Curb. I'm not sure because I just want to make sure procedurally we would be doing that right. So, once again, I'm looking at what we've done in the history. This is basically explaining what you need to do in order to be compliant with the current state code, and I get that it's a great reference so that we don't have to go to the building code. But would we have to um, put something, you know, refer to the building code, or you know what I mean? I just want to make sure that in the future that we don't end up with conflicting. I know it's legitimately probably exactly what is in the building code, but how would we correlate that, Dustin? And is there a concern moving forward having stated both in each document?
So I guess into the future, the issue would kind of fall on future tags and things like that to make sure that the correlation occurs there. For now, though, I mean, there's no procedural prohibition on including this language in the plumbing code. As you know, I would say it's probably a benefit because if it is correlating other codes to the UPC, it just kind of simplifies the use of this text for folks who may only use this text. And then, a pointer to the building code, not everybody's going to have that book handy when they're, referencing the UPC. So I think that having this as a, across the code statement works good. But if it changed in the building code, then it would be kind of up to the future tags to identify that, hey, this needs to change here as well.
So on that note, I'd make a motion to approve this amendment. Or move it forward.
Motion from Steve Simpson to move this proposal forward. Is there a second for that? And then I'll look at to you, Shailesh.
I'll second it.
Right. Second from Sandy. Shailesh, good.
Yeah, I have seen that they are putting something like a B in front of the section number saying that this is coming from building code or fire code. They put a F in front of it. So if there are language coming from other code, they indicate by that letter saying that this is completely copied from another code. So that's how in future code, we have a good reference. That's what I have seen.
Got it. And I guess to my knowledge, this isn't like duplicate language. It's referring to the same standard, but am I interpreting that correctly, Steve Hart or others?
You're stating that correctly. It's just language that the state finally recognized 3 years ago, I believe it was, and they revised all of their code language to mirror A17.1. And so therefore, the building code had always recognized it. The state is who was behind. So the building code has always recognized A17.1, and there was that conflict there. And we, as a jurisdiction, had to correlate the two codes because Seattle has its own code separate from in building code and plumbing code from the state. And so the state finally changed their code, which basically mirrored the building code. So yes, all the information is the same because it's all being derived from the same ASME A17.1. And I believe it's something like WAC 29696 or something like that, where they reference the same ASME.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. And then I guess question for Dustin, if we are referring to this ASME section, do we need to also amend the insert pages for reference standards to add that?
Yes, we should be updating our reference standards section as well in correlation with this.
All right. Any additional discussion for this one? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of recommending to move this forward for the rulemaking, please say aye.
I
Aye.
I
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, this motion carries and this one will be moved forward.
Hey, this is Steve Hart. I'm sorry I have to eject from the meeting. I may be able to hop on before the meeting's over, so at this point I have to leave.
Thanks, Steve. I don't believe that'll affect our quorum, even with Laura out as Shailesh is here and Janice is here. Okay, let's continue on. So next item in chapter 8. This would it be GP 2016? Okay. This one's also from Dave Price. This is providing some additional requirements in the indirect waste receptor requirements and separating out standpipe receptors into its own section.
Mr. Chair, this is Steve. Can I make a quick comment on this particular proposal?
Absolutely.
I could be screwed up, but I'm not exactly sure why we broke it into two sections. It's basically just the same as it was. I don't know that the language did anything other than add a section. That's, I guess, my comment. I'm a little confused on this one.
And looking at Dave's explanation, does seem like it's intended to clarify requirements for all receptors versus those for specific for standpipe receptors.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I'm still not understanding the separation between receptors doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense of making an amendment when we didn't really change anything in the body of the code. All of the same words are there, and just now we have another section. Um, I think it's clear the way it is, and I'll make a motion to reject this proposal.
Brandon, good. Actually, Steve, okay, there's a motion on the table from Steve. Is there a second for that? For you?
Yeah, I'll second it because I've had the same issue. It's just, when you go through the section, it does clarify other receptors. So this particular one was specific for standpipe receptors. So
All right, and Sandy, you're seconding the motion to reject the proposal from Steve?
yes.
Okay. All right, so motion is second to reject. Brandon, good.
I was just gonna offer to put up, I have a Word document of chapter 8 so that you can see it without the breakup.
Yeah, that'd be great. So here's the section as is currently from the UPC, and it's not currently amended. Right. Thanks, Brandon. Any additional discussion or other thoughts on how we might be able to address or clarify Dave's intent here? Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're accomplishing here by rewriting and striking on this just to get two sections out of this. It seems in the explanation that it's more of an education that needs to be done in our industry that it applies not only to clothes washers, but to all indirect waste receptors. So I don't think this is helping us out much, and I would not be in favor of it.
Thanks, Bill. All right, any other comments regarding this one? Hearing none, I'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of rejecting the proposed changes, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries to reject. So this one will not be moving forward. All right. Let's see. Next would be GP202. All right. All right. So we talked about this one at the last meeting. And Patrick, the proponent, is on the line. So, Patrick, I don't know if you want to do another quick intro for the proposal.
Yeah, I'm happy to run through it again, since there's more tech. There's a quorum this time.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was a suggestion from one of our members, and in their area, the local health code prohibits heat pump water heater condensate drains from running directly into a septic system. But there's nothing talking about that in the plumbing or building code, and so he thought a pointer would be necessary. The sort of the potential issue is that theoretically enough condensate could be coming out of heat pump water heaters to cause some issues with the septic system. I've heard various opinions on that. Some builders think that very little condensate comes out, most of it evaporates. But theoretically there could be a few, I think a few gallons per day going into the septic system, and it could cause issues diluting it. I think last time the tag members that were in attendance discussed that this could potentially be useful, but there was some concerns about whether or not it's sort of dealing with septic systems, and that's supposed to be left to health codes. We discussed potentially amending this to just say that condensate drains should be installed as directed by the local health code. I haven't got an amendment filed. I wanted to hear from the entire tag today, but if the tag is in favor of that, I'm happy to make a modification.
Great, thank you, Patrick. Yeah, so I think some of us were here at last week's meeting where we had a brief discussion, but any other thoughts or updated information regarding this one? Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, hey Patrick, thanks for showing up and talking us through this. I'm curious if you've looked at any other condensate drains rather than, I'm curious why it's just focused on, the heat pump water heaters. There are other appliances that create condensate similarly corrosive that we wouldn't want to have in a septic system. Even some clear running waste or have dissolved CO2 and it can be corrosive and interrupt the anaerobic process as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on plumbing knowledge. The issue that was brought to me was specifically about heat pump water heaters, but if the tag feels like it'd be appropriate to include other appliances, I'm happy to consider that.
Or how about if we just shortened it, the condensate drains shall not be discharged into a septic system, and then that would, is that stretching the net too far? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious why condensate is seen as an issue. Since if you look at the main paragraph there, it's saying discharge condensate to the drainage system. Is it that much worse than a toilet or a sink? Or that seems like it's I mean, I've heard it called spit and sweat condensate, but that's what you're putting down the drain as well.
Yeah, I've seen some local health ordinances that prohibit condensate drains from being run into septic system, but I also
Okay.
heard from some builders that don't think it's an issue. So I was going to leave it up to the tag on whether or not they thought that this was necessary for a statewide amendment, or if it's sort of a self-addressing problem, and that local jurisdictions are going to deal with it if they feel like it's necessary. And in areas where they don't have a lot of discharge, then maybe it's not necessary.
Larry, go ahead.
I'd have a problem with just all condensate because our natural gas furnaces have condensate coming out of them. And my company, we use pH razor, uses calcium basically, chunks of it goes through there and then comes out the other end to raise the pH of the condensate. And we always dump it back into the system, a lot of times in the laundry stack or something. So to say all condensate, I think that would be a little strong. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. And yeah, we kind of had a similar discussion last week regarding different types of condensate and various sources. And I think one of the, as Patrick mentioned, one of the potential approaches was to defer to local HA or other entities that do regulate the septic system requirements, as that's not part of what's in the state adoption of the UPC. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, let me take another swing at this. How about condensate discharge to private sewage disposal systems shall be approved by the local health officer? And Larry mentioned, the neutralizer is very common because we don't want to damage our plumbing systems. So a lot of these appliances already have a neutralizer on it. So if we say, hey, if you're going to discharge it into a private sewage disposal system, you got to get the AOK from your local health officer before you do that.
All right. Okay. Thumbs up from Larry. Patrick, do you think that would be something to be amenable to?
Yeah, and so that was condensate drains that are discharged into a private septic system shall be approved by the local health official.
Yep. Yeah, what I wrote, scrolled out here, if I can read it now. Condensate discharge to private sewage disposal systems shall first be approved by the local health officer. The health officer is a term we use in the book a bit for consistency.
Brad, good.
I just want to add that I think this should be left to the local level and not adopted statewide. Condensates, when you run them outside, now you got to worry about freezing, and sometimes in different areas you have to worry about that condensate freezing or keeping it or doing something to it. Otherwise the water backs up and you have problems with equipment. So there's a reason for keeping it inside sometimes, depending on where you're located. And then that opens you up to using the internal plumbing to do that, to keep it warm. So I think leaving it at this local level and letting them make the adoption would be ideal. So.
Great, thanks, Brad. All right, so Bill offered some potential revised language here, and I guess, do we want to try to wordsmith it now, or Patrick, do you want to submit like a revised version to review at the next meeting?
I'm happy with either. This is a pretty simple one sentence proposal, so it may be a case where it's okay to wordsmith it here if the tag wants to save time.
All right, and Brandon, I don't know if we have Word versions going that we could edit. There we are. So, and I think Bill had kind of read through it previously.
Bill, if you could read it for us one last time.
Yeah, no problem. Condensate discharge to private sewage disposal systems. Shall be first approved by the local health officer. Health officer is capitalized.
All right, is that it? So,
That's it.
All right, thanks,
I'd
Bill.
make that a motion. See where it goes.
All right, motion from
Second.
Bill.
This
All
is
right,
Steve.
second from Steve Simpson. Thank you. All right, any additional discussion? Brad, I think your hand might still be up. All right,
Yeah.
Patrick,
My bad. I'll try to get it down.
no worries. Patrick, good.
Yeah, Brad brought up a good point that came up in our code development discussion with builders, that it may be, I wasn't sure if a user note or something would be appropriate to keep in mind for those building in cold climates, that lines being run out to the ground will need protection from freezing.
Dustin, please remind me, I don't think we typically do like notes for state amendments. Is that correct? So I think it would either need to be part of the amendatory language or
So we could add a user note to this section, but we would have to include it in this proposal. It's not something that we see very often, but it has happened before.
okay. All right, and I guess I don't know, Patrick, if you had any thoughts on like how that would read, or
Yeah, I didn't have any exact language off the top of my head, but there's and if this moves forward, we can always get more feedback from the industry on if this is totally necessary, or any other potential changes, and bring that during public comment to fine tune it.
good point. All right, thanks. All right, any other comments or anyone? I don't know if anyone wants to offer an idea for addressing that at this time, or hold till we move into public comment potentially.
I think in terms of the form for the language, you'll still need a title for that subsection. And then the text that I had in there was new language, so it would just be removed instead of shown as struck out.
Yeah, so just delete that. And then for the title, I don't know, I guess you could basically repeat like the first part of this language or something. Condensate drain discharge to private sewage disposal systems and have that be the title and then repeat it.
Ben, it might just look better to just do condensate discharge and then keep the sentence.
I would be fine with that, I think. Right. And I guess Bill, would you treat this as a friendly amendment?
Sure.
And then I think Brandy, you'd repeat that. Yeah, there you go. All right. All right. Any other thoughts before we vote? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of moving the amended language forward that we see on the screen? And Brandon's updating the section name. Please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, so I think that is at the last chapter 8 item. Do we want to go back and review them in order, or are there any other sections that folks would like to look at ahead of that? Larry, good.
I'd like to thank you for taking the time to do those sections. And I've got to leave, but I have one other thing that I wanted to put forward to you. I have made changes to the sizing chart in the energy code for fixtures for lavatories and stuff. And I never did get a proposal to the plumbing code because of family problems that I had come up. But I would encourage you to see what changes I made to that chart that the people, the energy tag passed, so you can be aware of it. Thank you very much for taking the time to move your schedule around for me. Thank you. And I must go.
Thanks for the input, Larry. And yeah, I think something that with all the codes having a correlation review is something that will happen as these move forward. All right, so hearing no comments on order for the rest of the items, I guess let's pick them up in terms of chapter and section and look at them in that order. So let's see. So I guess the next one would be, do we have a chapter 1? Yeah, we did have a chapter 1. So we had GP2 005. And this is another one that we had a brief discussion at the last meeting. The proponent, Corey, was joined us to talk about this one and had some background on cases where some folks would take advantage of the kind of ambiguous language to potentially avoid the proper permitting process. So this would provide some more definition in stop work ability. Oh, and Corey, you are here again. So yeah, feel free to provide a brief introduction for any of those folks that weren't at the last meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Corey Walker. I'm a plumbing agent with Local 32. And in discussions with some of my peers, we proposed this amendment. There is an exception for homeowners, and there's a loophole that we're trying to fix, where a homeowner is allowed to do their own plumbing. There are companies that modify or refit houses and house flip, and those house flippers are actually companies, and they should be required to get a permit. And they're skirting through this loophole, and what we're trying to do is provide some level of compliance. And so given each authority having jurisdiction the ability to stop the permitting process and allow L&I compliance to review a situation, that the plumbing inspectors are usually our first people on site looking at that, or will notice it. And so this is a way that we can help. It's a pretty simple amendment, and it allows for some oversight to make sure that we have certified plumbers performing work where certified plumbers should be performing work.
Thank you, Corey. Any additional discussion or questions regarding the proposed language here? Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Corey, that exception you were talking about, is that like the Boeing plumber that we've always allowed?
It ties with it. It's owner of a single family residence, and technically the companies that do house flipping, they'll own 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 different houses. They're, you know what I mean? They're a company, and they're not supposed to sell it within a year, but they do.
Yeah.
And there's a loophole there, and we can't stop it without some enforcement. But it is the Boeing rule. It deals with corporations that are allowed to do their own plumbing.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Chair, I would like to, this is Steve Simpson. I'd like to move this amendment forward.
All right, as motion from Steve Simpson to move this one forward. Is there a second for that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Second from Bill. All right, any additional discussion? Okay. All right, hearing none. All those in favor of moving this proposal forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, motion carries. So thank you, and thanks again, Corey, for joining us today. Go ahead if you had another comment.
I just had a comment. I'd like to thank the TAG for all the work they do. And in this regard, I appreciate your consideration for this amendment. You guys have a good day.
All right, you too. Thank you. So let's see. So next is GP2013. This is one from Dave providing a definition for lavatory. As Dave mentioned, it's something that hasn't been defined in the plumbing code or in the current plumbing code. But I guess part of it is the term is referenced, or lavatories are referenced in multiple places in the code, of course. Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, first off, keep in mind that if the plumbing code doesn't define a word, then we use its ordinary dictionary meaning. And if we look up lavatory, it's a basin for washing, right? So is there a need for this? I don't think so, but what would further push me away from accepting this is using that word sink all throughout the definition of a lavatory. Those are two very different fixtures in terms of plumbing code with different requirements. And so I think we're going to add a little confusion here by adopting this lavatory definition with the word sink used in it 3 times. Yeah. So I wouldn't be in favor of passing this on.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Steve Simpson.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to end up with a ton of confusion if this particular amendment goes through. Size of waste piping changes, size of venting would change between the sink and the lavatory, where they can be put. Yeah, I'd be very, very concerned as well. And I would not feel comfortable moving this at all forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. All right. Any additional comments, or I guess, yeah, just kind of with some of the other ones, is it something where it would be helpful to get input from Dave before taking action? Or I guess, yeah, is there a motion that we'd like to take? Ally, go ahead.
I don't have a motion to take on this one, but I was just kind of exploring the definitions that I see are pretty various on lavatory. Is there a specific source definition, or is there any direction from any of the other members here to add an alternate definition of lavatory that would be more amenable?
All right. Thanks, Ally. Yeah, I'm wondering if anyone wants to approach that. Right. So yeah, I guess at this point, someone want to offer a motion to take action regarding this one in terms of, I don't know if we want to table it or do something else with it.
Mr. Chair, I think you might find the definition in ASSE dictionary for lavatory. But barring that, I'm also in an agreement with Bill that this is not necessary. I'm not sure that we need a definition. I know this word comes up quite a bit in the code, and I think quite a few of us know what this particular fixture is and where it belongs and how to rough it in. So I'd make a motion to disapprove this amendment.
All right. Motion from Steve Simpson to disapprove.
Second.
Is there a second? Second from Brad, it looks like. Okay. Any additional discussion for this one? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of disapproving, rejecting this proposed code change, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. This one won't be moving forward. Okay, let's see. I think next, actually, let's see. We are. How would folks feel about taking a quick break for 5 minutes?
That sounds good to me.
Okay, yeah, we've almost been on the call for 2 hours, so I want to be conscious of that. So let's break until 2:55. All right. All right, welcome back. It is 2:55. Kevin, so
Yeah, I need to drop off at 3 o'clock. But I'm an alternate, and it looks like Sandy's here, so I think we're okay.
All right. Thanks, Kevin. And yeah, it does look like Sandy's still on the line. All right. Okay. So it looks like we still have our quorum. Hopefully everyone's back. So just finished reviewing this one. So let's see, go on to chapter 3. So the next one I see is GP2004. Is that correct? Or nope, you're right, Brandon. It's GP2021. So this is one that I proposed based on our tag review of the significant changes for the 2024 UPC. And we had included this section for steel nail plates that had a reference to chapter 12 for fuel gas piping, which is not adopted in the state adoption of the UPC. So the proposal is to strike out that last sentence referencing that section. I don't know if anyone wants to discuss this, or I'd entertain any action to move this forward.
Yeah, this is Bill. Move for approval.
All right, motion from Bill. Is there a second?
This is Steve. I'll give you a second.
All right, thank you, Steve. All right, any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of moving this proposal forward, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Hearing none, none in opposition. All right. Let's see. So next one now is GP 2004. So this one is from Dave, and so this is providing some more enforceable language for seismic restraints and clarifying an exception for section 507.2. So this is another one we had discussed during the tag review earlier, and I think Dave mentioned he would provide some language for that. So this looks like what this is addressing. Any comments regarding the proposed language? Right. Is there anyone that would like to offer a motion regarding this proposal?
Mr. Chair, this is Steve Simpson. Move to approve.
Steve, is there a second for that?
Bill, I'll second that.
Second from Bill. All right. Any additional discussion? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving this one to move forward, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. This one will move forward. Okay. Let's see. So that was chapter, I think that was last chapter 3. And then next would be GP2020. I got it. Regarding water heater refrigerant requirements. Steve Simpson. Good.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, am I seeing this wrong? Did Eric send this to the wrong group? Did he mean to send it to the International Residential Code? Because that's what's listed at the very top of this amendment.
I believe it is for.
If you'll scroll to the top of this sheet.
Yeah, I see that.
So I'm not sure how, you know what I mean? This, if it was for the plumbing code, it should have been marked for the plumbing code, not the International Residential Code.
Yeah, I see that. The
I mean,
residential code is checked and the section is a UPC section. So, yeah, I don't know. Dustin or Brandon, do we clarify that when we're reviewing these?
When we're looking
Yeah.
at these, we do try to verify that. So I see the check mark on the residential code, but you know, the UPC sections are down there. So Mr. Vandermeer has submitted multiple code change proposals across different codes. It is possible he just neglected to uncheck that box and check the correct one. So we would have to clarify with him which code he really wants this one to go into.
Yeah, Eric and I served on the State Building Code Council together, so I'm just also kind of razzing him a little bit in case he made a mistake.
Yeah, but I mean, with the chapter section 501.1 and then, you know, chapter 17 reference standards, those are clearly UPC sections.
No, I agree. I was just that was the first question I had, Dustin and Brandon, for this, because I have some other concerns with this as well.
Yeah, I believe the proposed language is within a UPC section. So I think it's in the right spot for discussion. But yeah, I think the form should be revised to be correct. I guess with that, yeah, Steve, do you have any thoughts regarding the content of the proposed change?
Yeah, so I guess I really wish Eric had come today, because I have some specific questions that I think I'm not exactly sure why we're adding ASHRAE to as a pointer to something out of the plumbing code. I've been in the plumbing industry for 30 years, and I've never had to buy an ASHRAE book or buy a membership in order to get this specific section. And I'm wondering what is in this section. Is it about the air movement? Is it about the location if it's in an interior room? And so I'm a little concerned why we're now saying is it a certification that only certain people can install these water heaters? I just honestly, without buying a membership to ASHRAE, I don't know what's in ASHRAE 15.2 in order to know if that's a good reference for this specific requirement. Maybe I'm not making sense.
think it's a fair question. Bill, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I saw the IRC checked on this too. I was a little confused, but I went back into the section here in chapter 5 of the UPC, and yeah, this language is letter for letter what's currently in the UPC. So we'll let that go as a typo on the application, but into the meat of this thing, I struggle similarly, like Steve has with the ASHRAE documents. I got a whole row of UPCs and not one ASHRAE, but I think what he's probably better driving at is the refrigeration system that's part of any of these appliances rather than the water heater itself. Because it's the way it's written right now, the water heaters have to, water heaters, which use the refrigeration system, have to be installed in accordance to ASHRAE 15.2. Isn't it the refrigeration system here that we're driving at? Because the other option there is in accordance with Chapter 11 of the IMC refrigeration section.
And I guess as a point of clarification, ASHRAE 15.2 is for refrigeration systems installed within residential spaces, whereas Chapter 11 provides more kind of general.
Commercial.
Correct. Yep.
So in 15.2, you have like room construction, location near sleeping rooms, things like that.
Correct, and kind of how you can route like refrigerant piping through residential occupancies like dwelling units or sleeping units, etc. And I would say, like, based on some of the discussion that we had for the mechanical code, obviously there's been a lot of change with A2L refrigerants and with more heat pump water heaters being required or installed. It is now becoming a situation where there might need to be some more direction on how those systems can be installed, especially if they're in a enclosed space or something like that. Shailesh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this water heater now, heat pump type water heater have refrigeration, which was not there before in a typical hot water heater. So that may be a need for having a standard how to safely install refrigeration component in a water heater, or equipment coming with refrigerant in it, how it should be safely installed. So this is a good language, good guidance here.
Thanks, Shailesh.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other comments regarding this one? Is there maybe a desire to see if we can get Eric in attendance for some more kind of review and background on this one? Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, and I just, in the plumbing code, I know we amend out a lot of we amend out all the venting of gas appliances within this chapter. It's heavily amended. And if we're worried about the room construction or we're worried about the venting requirements for that room, that belongs in either the International Residential Code or the International Mechanical Code, because the water heater is just a water heater. It's an appliance that is required to be installed by the plumber. The plumber doesn't build the room. The plumber doesn't, in some cases, deals with the venting for sure. So they would follow the IRC or the International Mechanical Code. I totally agree with that language. And maybe if there's a section, or I just am uncomfortable with the wording being that all refrigerated systems. So if you have basically any type of whether it's CO2 or regular heat pump water heater that you're going to install. Now you have to go and purchase an ASHRAE document or purchase another component in order to do work you've been doing. These heat pump water heaters have been out for quite some time. And once again, they're plug and play. You don't deal with the refrigerant whatsoever. I do, however, understand that we're talking about if we put them in a conditioned space, they're going to make the area cold because that's what they do. So I understand there has to be some special room configurations with these types of systems. I just don't I don't know that piece, and I also don't know what that small business impact to the small residential plumber is going to be that's going to put these in, that's going to have to now get trained up on ASHRAE 15.2. That's my comments.
Thanks, Steve. Shailesh, good.
Well, this is any heat pump installer, even mechanical contractor needs to know what kind of equipment he's installing. This is similarly, if a plumber on his own without a mechanical permit or having a mechanical engineer on board and doing on his own, they should know what those refrigeration system require, what kind of safety standard. So if they are dealing with a system that they are not used to, they should do it and they should get familiar with that. And there is this code is giving guidance that here is the place where you go and see whether you are installing properly or not.
Thanks, Shailesh. Yeah, I guess gonna have some varying opinions on kind of approach for this one. So is there anyone that wants to venture on kind of providing motion at this point, or kind of what would make sense for action or deferral?
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
I'm wondering if we could table this one so we could get Eric Vandermeer, because maybe he can help make this section a little bit written better, if that makes sense. And he may be able to help with some of the background on some of this if at all possible.
Okay, that sounded like a motion to table.
Second.
All right, seconded. Hopefully that was your intention, Steve.
That was.
Okay, that's good. All right, motion and a second to table this one, to allow the proponent to provide some more input on it. Any additional discussion at this time? Brandon, good.
Would the tag be okay if I fixed it to say for the UPC before the next meeting?
I guess I'm wondering if the proponent should provide a revised proposal to do that.
I would agree that he should, the proponent should be.
So maybe that's another request that we send out in addition to requesting attendance. All right. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of tabling this item to allow for more proponent feedback, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so motion carries. All right, we shall get the proponent to help us out here. Okay, so those chapter 5 items. So now I think we have a bunch for chapter 6. Let's see if Brandon probably already found first one. So there's two in 603.2 I see. So there's GP2003 and GP2007. I think they're different subjects. These are 003 is from, I think they're both from Dave Bryce.
This is Steve Simpson. I'd make a motion to approve this amendment.
All right, so motion from Steve to approve this one, which is GP2003. Is there a second for that?
Yes, Bill, I'll second that.
Second from Bill. And I guess we're seeing it on the screen, but my understanding is that this the proposed change is to remove the items that are shown here from table 603.2. All right. Any additional discussion for this one? All right. Hearing, oh, sorry. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving to move this one forward, please say aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll move forward and then let's look at GP2007. This is another one that we had talked about on the initial tag review, and then David noted here the kind of difference between backflow assembly and backflow device, as well as the WAC definition requirements. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, so I agree with the amendment, other than the fact that he struck out that last sentence that testing shall be performed by Washington State Department of Health certified backflow assembly tester. I don't believe he meant to get rid of that, because that is what's required in the state under those WAC rules.
All right. Okay. And yeah, certainly, I'm wondering if that was intentional or not. And I was trying to see if there was something in the explanation regarding that.
I'm sure that's if you look at the current state amendment for that section, I'm pretty sure that language is in there verbatim.
Yeah, I was checking that, but I'm betting you are correct. Right. I guess, is this something we want to get Dave to provide feedback on, or alternatively, we could recommend approving without that strike through?
Mr. Chair, that's exactly what I'd like to do. I'd like to approve, but get rid of the strike through on the testing shall be performed by a Washington State Department of Health certified backflow assembly tester.
Right. Motion from Steve. There a second for that?
Yes, Bill, I'll second that.
Right. Second from Bill. Right. Any additional discussion for this one? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor of recommending to move this one forward without the strike through at the last sentence of 603.2, please say aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Let's see. Okay. So next, I think we have GP 2015. All right, there it is. It's another one from Dave, and it is adding the term hydronic. To that section. And I think the intent is to clarify that this is not addressing potable hot water boilers. Bill, good.
Yeah, did we skip over the water meters in the list?
Louise, let's see. Do you know which?
Or is it after this one? I've just been following along at home and I thought we were coming up on water meters.
Let's see. Do you know what section or proposal that was under? Sorry.
That was log 17.
Log 17, which followed the
Oh, yeah.
requirements for.
So we're
yeah.
So we're trying to go in section numbers, so that, I mean, that would be in 609. So this would be
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Well, since we're here, this seems redundant to me to add the word hydronic in front of water, which means essentially the same thing. I don't know it's really necessary.
Sandy, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Bill. I mean, it's hydronic. Basically, the definition is do with anything used to heating of uses liquid water or any other or another fluid. So this says, you know, had it been steam, hydronic, hot water boilers, then maybe yes. But otherwise, it's just not the way it's written. It doesn't need to be.
Okay. I had a little trouble hearing you, but I think I got the gist of it, that you were agreeing with Bill. That didn't seem necessary to add this term. Any other thoughts or opinions from others? Right. Hearing none, is there anyone that would like to offer a motion regarding this one? It's pretty simple change, but yeah, obviously it's adding more state amendments if we do move it forward.
Yes, Bill, I'll make a motion. We not approve this proposal.
This is Steve. I'll second that.
All right, motion in a second from Bill and Steve. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of disapproving this proposed change, please say aye.
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 Yeah.
Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries. This one won't be moving forward. All right, so now let's look at, yes, GP2008. There you go. Another one from Dave. So this is one we had, this is a section we had discussed during our review regarding beverage dispensers. And Dave is trying to correlate this with existing amendment language and WAC requirements here.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve.
All right, motion from Steve. Is there a second?
I'll
Yes.
second.
I'll second it.
All right, I think I got a motion or a second from Sandy and Bill. Same time. Any additional discussion for this proposed change? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of recommending moving this one forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. This one move forward. Right, so let's see, next 603.5.22, which is GP2009. Again, from Dave. And yeah, so this is another one that was discussed, tag that, and work group to remove the language requiring compliance with ASCE 1055.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve.
Right. Thanks, Steve. So motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sandy. Okay, any additional discussion on this one? right, hearing none, all those in favor of approving this one to move forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. So this will carried. All right, we're almost at the water meters, but I think we have one more GP2010. This is regarding energy code requirements and recirculating pumps. So this was, I think this was a new model code section. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what Dave wrote in the explanation.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move to approve.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Is there a second for that?
This is Bill. I'll second that.
All right. Second from Bill. Great. All right. Any additional discussion? And I guess I had a question for Brandon and Dustin. If do we typically refer to like locally adopted codes, or do we just reference like energy code for these sorts of statements?
I would say that the locally adopted energy code is typically we don't have a lot of state amendments for the locally for local adoption of energy code provisions. If there's an amendment that affects residential construction, we have the maximum and minimum energy code identified in RCW. So I think this might not be an appropriate amendment.
Got it. And I guess, Dustin, I guess if they took out the locally adopted portion, would that make more sense?
I think that'd be okay, yeah.
Okay. And I guess, I mean, we could recommend that doing that now, or that could be something that gets discussed during the review process as well. So I'll leave it up to the tag, but that was just a thought I had reading through that. But the motion on the table is to move this forward as written. Any additional discussion on that? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving this to move forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries. So this will move forward. Let's see. Okay, now we are at GP2017 for section 609.13. So adding a new section for water meters. All right. Any discussion for this proposed section? Bill.
Yeah, I think this is a good idea. Water meters haven't been in the plumbing code because they've always historically been part of the utilities outside, not part of that jurisdiction. But I think it's a little overdue even now with multi-family housing, high-rise residential, all having individual water meters. And something we need in the code. So I will move for approval.
All right.
This is Steve. I'll second that.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Bill. It's a motion to approve this one to move forward. Any additional discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approving this one to move forward, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, this one will move forward. Motion carries. So I think that is the last chapter 6 item. We already did chapters 7 and 8. So the next one I have is GP2001. It's from Dave as well. And this is, I think this is one we had discussed during the, well, I don't know, I'm not sure if we actually discussed this, but this is proposing some language to adjust the storm drain calculation baseline for 1 GPM to be equivalent to 96 square feet and 1 inches per hour versus the model code 24 square feet and 4 inches per hour. All right, any thoughts regarding this proposed change? All right, anyone want to offer a motion regarding this?
This is Bill. I'll move for approval.
All right, motion from Bill.
I'll go ahead and second it.
Second from Steve. Thank you. All right, any additional discussion? All right, hearing, oh, Brandon, go ahead. Sorry.
If this motion passes, would you guys like me to address updating this section down right here? Where he has it labeled 710.6, which is one of his previous proposals.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was one thing I had noticed. Yeah, I think yeah, having that amended would be appropriate. So I guess Bill, Steve, would that be a friendly amendment to have that addressed?
Yep.
I would agree to that.
Okay.
I didn't catch that. Thanks, Brandon. You're on it.
All right. All right. So I guess that all those in favor of approving this one to move forward with the section number amended, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries and this one will move forward. All right, I think we're at the last proposal. So this is regarding, I guess this didn't have a section number. I guess it had a whack number assigned to it, but it is proposing adopting Appendix O of the 2024 UPC. And this is the appendix that was added for non-sewered sanitation systems. And I wish we had Dave Price and Steve Hart on, because I know there's some other discussion regarding some blackwater systems that are happening at other levels. And yeah, I guess Steve, Sandy, you might have some input as well. Good.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this appendices, being that it's brand new, would allow a local jurisdiction to allow this appendix being used under alternate means and methods. I am really extremely leery of bringing a brand new appendix in to the entire state code without seeing A, how much it's used, and B, making sure that all of the process behind this has been looked at thoroughly. I know IATMO's gone through their process, but it would be my opinion to not adopt this for the state amendment.
Thanks, Steve. Bill, good.
Yeah, similarly, the appendix here is, like Steve said, brand new for 2024. And basically what I was done with some new technology is to introduce them into the plumbing code as an appendix. Here's language we think will let us know what happened, to give us some feedback before we bring it into the main body of the code, if you will. It still just remains part of the appendices, which people can adopt, and hopefully this tries it out and get some feedback. But I think it's a little premature to bring it in right now. So I'd have to agree. We wouldn't want to pass on this just yet.
Thanks, Bill. Any other comments regarding this one, or does anyone want to offer a motion regarding it?
I will go ahead and move to reject this proposal.
Right. Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Second from Sandy. All right. Any additional discussion regarding this proposal? Right. Hearing none, all those in favor of disapproving the proposal here, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, motion carries, and this one will not move forward. Okay, so I think that is all the proposals. We have a couple that were tabled, and I guess looking at, if you go back to the list, Brandon, we mentioned this last time, but GP2011 was a duplicate. So a duplicate of GP2001. So we already reviewed that. And then, so I have 3 items that we tabled. GP2012, GP2019, and GP2020. So I think what we'll do is there's 3 different proponents for those. So we'll confirm that we can either get their presence at the next tag meeting or have them provide some input offline prior to that meeting to hopefully resolve those items and hold a subsequent tag meeting in the near future. And yes, Brandon, Dustin, what is our schedule look like for holding that? I'm assuming we're probably not going to make it before the next council, or I guess, well, I guess the next committee meeting got canceled, it looks like.
Correct. So our schedule for bringing all this to the council and getting everything ready for filing is October 1st. What that means though is that we need to have all this ready from the tag here typically or ideally by the end of this month. And then the work group of economic impact is going to be beginning tomorrow, starting to work on the supplemental reports that go with CR 102 filing, which is the cost benefit or preliminary cost benefit analysis and the small business economic impact statement. So we're well down the road on getting the bulk of the proposals deliberated by the tag now. And so it is, I think, if as long as we can get this across the finish line here sometime within August, we're well in line with getting this before the committees in September and also before the council in September. That council meeting, September 19th, could shift a little bit because we got a lot of work to do before we get ready for the CR 102 filing and the preliminary cost benefit analysis and small business impact statements are likely going to need all the time we can possibly get to get them across there. So likely looking at a very late in September council meeting to approve all the CR 102 filings to be filed October 1. And so, if we don't want to have a meeting this Thursday, I think that this group is okay on that one. And we could have another afternoon Tuesday meeting next week if that works for folks. But I know, I think Patrick, you're not available for next Tuesday, as you said in the IRC tag this morning. So maybe it would be best to poll the group for the next meeting. What would be best?
Yeah, and I think reaching out to some of the key proponents as well would be important. So yeah, I think at a minimum next week, but we'll try to find a time where we can get obviously a quorum of tag members as well as those key proponents. Steve, good.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, unfortunately, I leave for Detroit and I'll be gone all next week. There's no possibility I can step out of what I'm doing, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I guess Dustin, it sounds like we may have some flexibility if we needed to look at a tag meeting the week after, potentially.
Yeah, there's some wiggle room in there for this group. You guys made awesome headway today. And so there is some room for that. The work group of economic impact has a lot before them already moved from the tag. So, if this didn't come in until after the week after next, it wouldn't necessarily hinder that group from doing their work as well.
Yeah, so I think let's start getting some feedback from tag members, get a poll going, and confirm we can get proponent feedback. So I guess, yeah, probably not going to settle on a date now, but look out for email from staff soon. All right, great. So I think that wraps up this agenda item. So next, I think it's items that other business. So is there any other business anyone would like to bring up? All right, hearing none, I guess we can adjourn. So appreciate everyone's time today. We, as Justin said, we made great progress going through the proposed items, and we just have a handful to follow up on. So appreciate everyone's input and participation.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks,
All right,
everybody.
thanks everyone.
Thank you.
All right, have a great day. Thank you.